At a family BBQ, my dad announced I'd be gifting my house to my brother. Because he's a real man now. He's got a wife, a baby, and a future. I've got, a dog? Let me back up because this didn't come out of nowhere. I'm 32, and I work in tech. Not construction, not the trades, not anything my dad considers a real job. I bought my house when I was 29. A 3-bedroom place with a fenced yard and a finished basement. I saved every dollar, worked 12-hour days, skipped vacations, and paid the whole thing off 2 years later. No mortgage, no debt. Just me and my golden retriever Max, living in a house I built my life around. My brother Brandon is 3 years younger and has been the golden child since birth. Football scholarship that he lost. Marriage that was rushed. A baby that showed up about 5 months after the wedding. None of that mattered though, because in my parents' eyes, Brandon was building a legacy, and I was just existing. The hint started about 6 months before the barbecue. My mom would call and casually say, you know, Brandon and the baby could really use more space. Or, don't you think a condo would suit your lifestyle better? My dad made a joke at Easter about how 3 bedrooms was a lot of room for one guy and a dog. I brushed it off, figured it was just talk. Then came my dad's birthday barbecue. Early June, the kind of day where the sun cooks the pavement before noon. About 30 people showed up. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the whole crew. Brandon showed up late with his wife Kelsey and the baby. She walked around like she was doing everyone a favor just being there. My mom followed her around like she was royalty. I stayed in my corner with Max, throwing him a tennis ball and minding my own business. Then my dad clinked his bottle and called everyone over. He started talking about legacy and family and doing what's right, and I could feel it building, like a storm you can smell before it hits. He turned to me and said, Darren, you've done well for yourself. Got that nice house, no debts, smart with your money, but let's be honest, you've got what, a dog? And everyone laughed. Every single person. Brandon slapped my back like it was already settled. Kelsey smirked behind her sunglasses. Even my mom smiled into her cup. My dad kept going. He said it only made sense for me to let Brandon and his family move into my house. Said I could find a condo, maybe one of those townhouses near the park, since I like walking the dog. He said Brandon's building a real future, and I should be the bigger man and help him do it. I looked around that yard at every face staring at me, waiting for me to just hand over my keys and say, sure, take it. Nobody pushed back. Nobody said, hey, that's his house and he earned it. Not one of them. And that's when I realized they had planned this. The whole thing was coordinated. My parents, Brandon, Kelsey, all of it. But here's the thing. They didn't know what I knew. See, 3 weeks before that barbecue, Brandon left his old phone at my place. Cracked screen, barely working. Told me to toss it out. I almost did, but something made me plug it in and charge it. When it powered on, I started scrolling through messages. Most of it was junk, but one thread caught my eye. It was between him and someone saved as M, and the messages were not casual. They were nervous, emotional, and specific. One message from Brandon said, don't worry, the baby looks enough like me. Nobody's going to ask questions. My stomach dropped. I read it again and again. Then I started looking closer. At timelines, at dates, at things that didn't add up. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't ignore it. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I ran a DNA test. I used a hair sample from the baby's brush that Kelsey left at my house after a visit, sent it to a certified private lab, and waited. 2 weeks later, the results came back. 0% match. Brandon was not the father. I printed those results, put them in a folder, and carried that folder with me every day, waiting to see if they'd actually go through with what I thought they were planning. And they did. So when my dad finished his little speech and the whole yard was laughing at the guy with the dog, I reached into my bag, pulled out the folder, and set it on the patio table. I looked at my dad and said, before you give away my house, you might want to figure out whose kid that actually is. The yard went dead silent, like someone hit mute on the whole world. Brandon's face turned white. Kelsey grabbed the baby and speed walked to the car without a word. My dad picked up the paper and just kept reading it over and over like the words would change. My mom whispered, what did you do? I looked at her and said, I told the truth, that's all. They wanted me to hand over everything I worked for, so my brother could raise a family built on a lie. I packed up Max, walked to my truck, and drove home. I didn't answer my phone for a week. When I finally checked, I had 40 missed calls and a string of texts calling me jealous, bitter, and cruel. My mom left a voicemail saying I ruined the family. I didn't respond to any of it, because for the first time in my life, I didn't owe them anything. I kept my house, I kept my dog, and I haven't heard from a single one of them since.